This is Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details. Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
Is Patrick Mahomes officially out of the GOAT debate, ladies and gentlemen? A 34-0 deficit in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, leading to a 40-22 defeat in the Super Bowl, leading his Super Bowl record to go to 3-2, has some people wondering if Patrick Mahomes has officially been removed from the chase of Tom Brady that is the NFL QB GOAT debate right now. But listen, if you watch the game, Patrick Mahomes was not on it on Sunday, and we saw it from start to finish. That Eagles offensive line Eagles defensive line was on his ass, and Patrick Mahomes was not ready for it. So I'm just going to kick it right to Joe, man. What do you think? Is Patrick Mahomes out of the GOAT debate? What does this game do for Patrick Mahomes' legacy?
I never want to hear that fucking conversation ever again. I don't want to see an ESPN headline. I don't want to see it in the newspaper. I don't want to see an article on the internet about it. You have lost this dynasty that we supposedly saw in Kansas City. 2 Super Bowl losses, minus 40-point differential, and it should have been more than that, okay? They scored 2 touchdowns in less than 8 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter when the Eagles were playing prevent defense and then backups, okay? This was a 6-40 loss as far as I'm concerned, to a 34-point spread. Let me go ahead and give you guys an idea of what Patrick Mahomes would have looked like without pretty much those last 2 touchdown drives. 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs, and a shitty completion percentage, all right? Absolutely terrible, okay? And everyone's like, oh, compare him to the GOAT if he wins 3 in a row. Do you realize that now in 2 losses, Tom Brady's got 3, if we're really talking about it right now, 15 total points he lost by in 3 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes lost by 40-2. Are we even really going to entertain that? And here's another thing. This dynasty that we're talking about, I went back to 1994 to find the worst Super Bowl losses in that span. 30 years I went back. The Chiefs have 2 of them in the top 6 in 30 years. 2 of them. 2 of them. Here we go. I'll run them down for you. In 2013, Seattle over Denver, 35 points. 2002, Bucks over Raiders, 27 points. 2000, Ravens over Giants, 27 points. 49ers over Chargers in 1994, 23 points. Bucks over Chiefs in 2020, 22 points. Oh, yeah, that was the loss of Tom Brady, by the way. Eagles over Chiefs this year, 18 points. Those are the worst losses since 1994. 30 years. Okay? And we're going to sit here and pretend this dynasty is anything comparably to what the Patriots were able to do in a 20-year span. In that 20-year span, the Patriots went to 9 Super Bowls. Actually, they went to 10, 1996 against the fucking Packers. Tom Brady wasn't there, but still. So in that 30 years, the Patriots went to 10 Super Bowls, and Tom Brady took them to 9 of them, had 3 losses, 15 total points. 40-2? And one of them was to Tom Brady? We were still entertaining this pipe dream? And the worst part is, if you're on this channel, you've seen the Jalen Hurts video by now. Jalen Hurts has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. Okay? Easily. Anyone who looks at those games cannot argue that point. You can't. Basically, it should have never been a conversation. That was a mainstream media push. And this dynasty is so weak now that I don't even see how you could even entertain the idea. 40 points and 2 losses? No, absolutely not. The story is done. The conversation's done. It doesn't need to be brought up again. Okay? Patrick Mahomes now, the closest thing he's going to sit there and compare to is a guy who lost that Seattle-Denver 43-8 35-point game. It's Peyton Manning.
So
I'll go ahead and say he's in that conversation. He's in the Peyton Manning conversation.
Already.
Huh?
Oh, okay. Keep going.
But I mean, that's what it is. Peyton Manning got blown out all the time by Tom Brady. They lost to Tom Brady quite a bit. And then he has the worst Super Bowl loss since 1994 in points for 35. Hell, add up the ones Patrick Mahomes got for 5th and 6th on that list, and he beats them. So, I mean, no, it's not. He's not in the realm of Tom Brady anymore. It's going to take. This is not something that he goes back to the Super Bowl and wins next year or wins the year after that and is back in the conversation. I think that you need something more than that. You're talking 2 losses by 40 points. Tom Brady never once looked that bad on a football field. This is the worst quarterback performance in a Super Bowl we have seen since probably 2013 when Peyton Manning had that first snap go over his head and into the end zone. and everything came on and the screws came loose. This was that bad.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Sammy, I'll kick it to you real quick after this, but it should be noted that that two of us in this chat or in this stream right now are
Patriots fans, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, yes, you guys didn't notice.
Two of us are Patriots fans, and again, I'm not. I'll get to it when I go, but I'm not completely on Joe's side. I do feel a lot of what Joe said. I'm not completely on that side yet, but he makes a lot of good points. That was a devastating loss for Patrick Mahomes on Sunday as far as the GOAT debate goes. But Sammy, I know you've been big on Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. What do you think? Does this loss kick Patrick Mahomes out of the GOAT conversation for good?
And he still is. Let's make that very, very clear. He's still the second greatest QB of all time. Like, let's make that very, very obvious. 2-time MVP, 3-time Super Bowl champion. The highest floor we've ever seen from a QB ever. That is not an exaggeration. Every single time this man starts in a full season, he goes to an AFC Championship game. He goes to a Super Bowl. That is the highest floor we have ever seen from a QB. Ever, hands down, even past the likes of Tom Brady. However, if we're talking about the GOAT debate, right? And the GOAT debate is a lot more nuanced than just Super Bowls. Let's make that very clear. Because the truth is that, yeah, sure, Patrick Mahomes played terribly. And I actually have some stats to show how bad he played. And this will never happen again. This is a smear campaign against Patrick Mahomes delivered by me. Never going to happen again. In the first half, 6 of 14, 33 yards, 2 interceptions, a 10.7 passer rating. Even I will tell you right now, in my wildest dreams, I would have never expected that from Patrick Mahomes. However, something to consider, because I feel like, in football and in life, it's always a team game. Okay, when you need somebody to take out the trash, right? You ask somebody to do it, they do it for you. Now, can you imagine if I asked like my brother, hey, can you please take out this trash while I go wash the dishes? And he said, nah. And he just walked out and just went to the gym instead. Not that this has ever happened before, by the way. This has never happened once in my entire life.
It feels wrong, Sammy.
And the Eagles, the Eagles generated 38% of pressure. Their pressure rate was 38%. Now, that's insane. So essentially, what is that? What is that number? 2/5 of Patrick Mahomes' dropbacks, he was suffering some kind of pressure. He was sacked 6 times. The Chiefs' offensive line, non-existent. The wide receivers, no separation. And if they did get separation, as we saw from DeAndre Hopkins the other day, he literally just fell. And it was the most shocked and a fool looking play in Super Bowl history.
That was bizarre. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it was almost.
I don't think he saw the ball coming.
My friends literally thought the game was fixed right there. Like, oh, Vegas. I'm like, that's kind of ironic considering who the Chiefs are and what the narrative around the Chiefs is. But regardless of that, look, let me get back into this debate because Patrick Mahomes obviously did not have a great performance. Okay, it's no secret. Is the GOAT debate over? Absolutely not. It's not over. I got to remind you, Patrick Mahomes is 29. He is 3-2 in Super Bowls. You know who else is 3-2 in Super Bowl? Was 3-2 in Super Bowls at one point in their career? Tom Brady was. And as a matter
of a fucking playoff game until his 4th season,
and Tom Brady, and ultimately, I have some stats here. It's not like Tom Brady was winning in between 2004, right, which is the last Super Bowl they won. Let's check out what Tom Brady was doing up until 2014, until his next Super Bowl win. In 2006, a loss to Denver. In 2007, a loss to Indianapolis. In 2008, a loss to the Giants in the Super Bowl, right? He only scored 14 points in that game, but, that's neither here nor there. In 2010, one and done against the Baltimore Ravens. In 2011, one and done against, get this, Joe, you're going to love it, the New York Football Jets. The New York Football Jets. You guys lost to the New York Football Jets, bro. What is that? Look, let's move on. Let me not get ahead of ourselves, right? 2013, a loss against Baltimore. Tom Brady's career is not as perfect as people realize, okay? It is a illustrious career. It is the greatest career for a QB ever. Was it perfect? Absolutely not, and neither is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' career, it was never going to be perfect, okay? But neither was Tom Brady's, neither was Peyton Manning's, neither was Aaron Rodgers, neither was Joe Montana. None of these all-time greats that we are barbing back and forth, like who is the better QB, none of them have perfect resumes. Let me make that very, very clear. And also, being good in the NFL, and I'm going to make this very, very clear for all of you guys to understand, being good is not good enough. Being good is not good enough in any sport. It is not good enough to just be good. In anything. You need luck. You need it. You need it, okay? Tom Brady, this is the best stat I saw all day, and this is my favorite stat. You know that 2014 year that they won the championship game? Apparently they were playing the number one defense. Right? They were playing the number one defense. Except, really? Not really. See, Jeremy Lane, one of the corners, broke his arm after picking off Brady the very first drive, by the way. Cam Chancellor tore his MCL and played through that torn MCL the week of the game. Earl Thomas had a torn labrum. I could go on. Sherm had a bum elbow, but let's see. What's the definition of a bum elbow, really? Okay, we don't really know. But I'm not saying this to push some propaganda that Tom Brady wasn't as good as he thought he was. This is not propaganda. The 28-3 Falcons complete collapse. You needed luck. It could not have been Tom Brady on his own. You needed some epic chicanery from the Atlanta Falcons to collapse in a way that we've never seen before. All this to say this. Patrick Mahomes is still in the GOAT conversation. Have we ever seen a performance as bad as this between top-level QBs in a Super Bowl? Never. Ever. Ever. At all. But LeBron James in 2011 definitely had one of those performances before that Jordan never had, but a lot of people still. And a lot of people, in their opinion, and might be in my opinion, I'll save that for maybe if we make a basketball channel. A lot of people think he's the GOAT too. So I see this as simple. It's a very big bump in the road, but time heals all wounds, and winning heals a lot of wounds too. If he goes back-to-back after going to the Super Bowl, are you kidding me, Joe? There are a lot of people going to say, are you kidding me? This guy went back-to-back. If he surpasses Tom Brady in Super Bowls, it's a big if, big if. If he does it, you guys are still going to be crying, oh, Tom Brady's still the GOAT. Because
yes.
Because you guys are fans. You guys are fans, and there are a lot of Tom Brady fans out there, okay?
Listen, Sammy, First of all, in terms of your luck point, I mean, Patrick Mahomes has gotten lucky too. Let's not pretend like Patrick Mahomes hasn't gotten lucky. He's also gotten lucky. I saw the last Super Bowl where the team literally forgot the overtime rules and Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles stepping onto the field. So okay, Patrick Mahomes has gotten lucky to a certain point as well. So luck plays a factor in all sports, and injuries play a factor in all sports. So I don't even take those things into account when determining, oh, this is more impressive. Like those things always take into account. So we just kind of have to look at the resumes as well. But Sammy, you mentioned it. This is the single worst performance by an all-time great quarterback in the Super Bowl of all time. Like this is the worst performance I have ever seen by an all-time great quarterback in the Super Bowl. But I disagree with Joe. The GOAT debate is not over. It is on pause for a while, however, though. This GOAT debate is on pause. And Sammy, you said something, I don't know if it was in your story or if it was something on Instagram or maybe it was just in the chat or something. It's like, oh, you can't deny that Mahomes was chasing him, like blah, blah, blah. And he is chasing him. Like he's definitely chasing him. He's chasing him for sure. But when you're chasing somebody, right, who's already got a very big lead on you, and then you just fall flat on your face for about 45 seconds, it's like, okay, you're at an even bigger deficit now. And that's exactly what Patrick Mahomes is. And he's got to start making up ground again. And that's what Mahomes is going to have to do. But in terms of this game, I mean, you saw it right away. Like Mahomes was off just right away. Him and Kelsey weren't connecting. That first third down to Kelsey, I don't know if Mahomes thought Kelsey was going to sit down or if it was just an inaccurate throw by Mahomes, but Mahomes threw it behind him. Inaccurate pass. We saw another third down to Kelsey where it looked like I think Mahomes thought he was going to sit down. Kelsey kept running I think it was an out route. And again, miscommunication. And from what I saw in yesterday's yesterday's game, Travis Kelce's cooked, ladies and gentlemen. Travis Kelce got to retire. I mean, again, I'm a Patriots fan. I love Rob Gronkowski. You can make an argument that Travis Kelce's the greatest tight end of all time, especially considering how great he's been in the postseason. He just don't got it anymore. Like I don't think he wants to be a kind of platoon tight end. I think he wants to be the guy. So I think he's going to end up retiring. I don't think he's got much left in the tank. So, and shout out to Travis Kelce if he does retire. You had an amazing career, but I just don't think he's got much in the tank. But this also, as far as Mahomes go, it's the worst game I've ever seen him play. Like I haven't seen him play a worse football game than this. And this was the game that could have got him legitimately into the GOAT conversation as well. This is the most pressure that he's ever played under, in my opinion, because this game could have got him into the GOAT conversation, and he fell flat on his face. And I don't know if y'all saw this, but the NFL posted a highlight montage for Mahomes on his, quote, 3-touchdown performance on their YouTube page. You want to know when that video started, ladies and gentlemen? 3 minutes and 22 seconds left into the third quarter when the Eagles were up 34-0, ladies and gentlemen. Before that highlight montage, when the game was actually happening, and when I think the Chiefs still had, I didn't believe the game. I don't know about you guys. I didn't believe the game was over until it was 34-0. Like once the game was 34-0, I was like, okay, this game's done. Like I'd seen too many games where people come back from big deficits that I was like, I'm not going to give up on this one. When it was 34-0, Jalen Hurts threw that touchdown to Devontae Smith. I was like, okay, this game is over. So after the Eagles went 34-0, okay, this is what I saw from these are Patrick Mahomes' stats when the game was 34-0. Mahomes was 9 for 18. That's a 50% completion percentage. 61 yards. That's 3.4 yards per attempt. 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a pick 6, and another pick that directly led to a touchdown for the Eagles. And then obviously he had the fumble as well. So his turnovers directly related to 17 Philadelphia Eagles points. Okay. And he had an 18.7 quarterback rating up until the 3-minute and 22-second mark in the third quarter. Just for context, if he in the 18 pass attempts, if he would have just spiked the ball into the ground all 18 times, his passer rating would have been 39.6. So if he would have just thrown the ball into the ground, as opposed to actually him playing quarterback in the Super Bowl, his passer rating would have been better, and the Chiefs would have had a better chance to win the game. However, he played absolutely horrible. Sammy, like you mentioned, 10.7 passer rating at halftime. That's the 4th worst by a starting quarterback in the history of the Super Bowl, okay? And his 11.4 total QBR is the 2nd lowest in the Super Bowl since ESPN introduced the total QBR stat in 2006. So he had the 2nd worst game in Super Bowl history since 2006, essentially. So again, you can say what you want about Tom Brady. He only scored 14 points against the Giants in the Super Bowl. His game was not that bad. He did not play that bad against the Giants. He gave them the lead with however many minutes, or I think it was 2 minutes left in that game with a touchdown pass to Randy Moss. Tom Brady would never play like that in the Super Bowl ever, because I also saw Tom Brady play in a Super Bowl versus the Eagles, a game that he also lost, where the Eagles scored 40-plus points, just like they did against the Chiefs on Sunday, where the Eagles also had a great defense. The Eagles' defense that year was 4th in the league in points and in yards that year. And Brady, with no Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks, remember, he was running around with his chicken with his head cut off. He got knocked out in the second quarter of that game. He was throwing to an all-time aging tight end in Rob Gronkowski, then Chris Hogan and Danny Amendola. Tom Brady threw for 505 yards and 3 touchdowns and 115 rating. Granted, Brandon Graham stripped him and the game was over after that. But again, we saw Tom Brady perform. Even when he didn't win the game in the Super Bowls, Tom Brady still stepped up when the moment mattered the most. And we did not see that from Patrick Mahomes on Sunday. And again, Patrick Mahomes lost that Super Bowl single-handedly for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's got some ground now to cover to me in the GOAT debate, because again, his Super Bowl, I'm just going to go to his total Super Bowl stats. And I decided to cut out everything after 34-0 from his overall Super Bowl stats. Maybe that's unfair. I'm sorry, but like the game was he wasn't going to win that game ever. You know, I'm not going to say he was stat batting. He was fighting till the end, but it was, you know, the stats looked a lot better at the end. So when you cut that last 18 and 30 seconds from Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl resume, looks like this: 3-2 Super Bowl record. Obviously 3 Super Bowl wins is very impressive, but 7 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions, a 63% completion percentage, 6.2 yards per attempt, a 77.9 quarterback rating in his Super Bowl history without those last 18 minutes, right? For context, a 77.9 rating would have been worse than Daniel Jones, Will Levis, Deshaun Watson, and Mac Jones in the regular season this year, okay? He's also got 1 rushing touchdown and 1 fumble, but 8 total touchdowns to 8 turnovers in the Super Bowl. Again, that's not GOAT caliber. So again, he has some room. He has some big time room to make up. I'm not going to count him out because every time I've counted out the Kansas City Chiefs, anytime anybody's counted out the Kansas City Chiefs, they've seemed to find a way back. But again, he has some serious ground to cover. And again, I think Joe might be right on this point. They might have a year or two where they still might win the division, but they could lose in the AFC Championship game or earlier in the next couple of years, in my opinion. He's not guaranteed to get to the AFC Championship game every year. I think there's easily a couple year stretch, especially with Kelsey retiring, Chris Jones aging a little bit, some of these, some different guys coming into this team. I think there's a couple years here where these guys might not make another Super Bowl. And then again, this narrative is going to get even louder that he's out of the GOAT debate. So
yeah, it was
for
always
me, Patrick Mahomes, he's taken a step back as far as the GOAT debate, but I'm not going to completely dismiss him from it.
It was always like an uphill battle to be in like the conversation in general for any QB to be compared to Tom Brady. But the bottom line is this: like it's an uphill battle. It's going to be tough for Patrick Mahomes to catch up. Is the GOAT debate over? Not by a long shot.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.